Welcome back to another episode of Will It Cheddar, and today is interesting. It is a pepperoni pizza cheddar, so let's find out, will it cheddar, will it not? So as always, we're going to start with
5 gallons?
I think we did 5 gallons of milk for this pot, and
It's right at the top too. Like
you
you'll
can see
see, we are nearing the top of this, and it's okay. We like to mess with fire.
So this cheese is going to be a little bit different. We are adding annatto food coloring, and that is what makes our cheese or usual cheese in the grocery store that orange or yellowish color. So we're adding annatto coloring to our cheese this time.
It is natural, to be fair. So it's not like a natural color or whatever, but it comes from a tree.
Mhm.
So it don't come at us for this one. It is a natural food dye. In the meantime, we are going to make some kefir. We had this sitting overnight. There's our grains. We're just going to set it aside. We like to add some strawberry juice or strawberry syrup.
And we'll can a bunch of the strawberry juice ahead of time. We just can a bunch of these so that we can add it a little bit at a time to our kefir, and it's so delicious.
It's so good.
It tastes kind of like Danimals. If you're growing up and you drink those Danimals, it kind of tastes like that. It's very close to that. It's drinkable. It's delicious.
So we just like to blend it and then put it in separate jars. And the reason we're taking up so much time right now is because we're trying to get our milk for our cheese to come up to temperature. So we want our milk for the cheese to come up to about 85 degrees before we add our culture, before we add the rennet. And we're going to make some messes in the meantime. So we're going to make some kefir, make some messes. We're going to get Chris over here to help us clean the messes because he's better at cleaning than we are.
He is the true master of cleaning things. We make the messes and he cleans them up, and that's just the way that it goes around here. And he's good at it. So now that we got that kefir out of the way, you might notice these adorable jars that we're using. These are applesauce jars from Costco, and we reuse them, and they're perfect. This is the pizza sauce we're using for our pizza cheddar. We had these pizza sauce cubes frozen from like a year ago.
Seriously.
Luckily for us, they were available to us. And at the same time, we put our rennet into the cheese, and we're going to let that set for about 45 minutes after the rennet goes in.
Yeah, and the rennet goes in when it's about 85 degrees in temperature. So you noticed in the beginning of the video, this was all straight from the fridge, so we're just kind of waiting for it to come up to temperature. It's about 85. We add the rennet, and then about 40 minutes later, we're going to cut up those curds.
Before the rennet, we did add the culture. We use a mesophilic MM100 or 1000 culture. We don't show it in this video.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that clip.
Yeah, but usually we do. This is not a cheddar tutorial, so don't use this to try to make your own cheddar. This is just for funsies, what we're doing. And look at how that pizza sauce turned out. It's looking perfect.
But after those curds are cut up, after the 45-minute wait, and at this point, you just want to stir over and over and over again for about an hour. Of like the first 30 minutes, you're just trying to bring it up to 100 degrees, and you're raising the temperature 2 degrees like every 5 minutes until you reach 100 degrees. We're pouring out some of the whey here because
that pot was so full.
It was
so full of whey at that point. So we are straining a little bit of that whey out. We're going to reserve those curds, put them back in,
and we're just going to keep stirring.
We're going to keep stirring and give us a little bit of room in that pot, and we're going to bring up those curds and whey up to 100 degrees over the next 30 minutes. So those curds are starting to shrink down quite a bit at this point, and they're starting to resemble like scrambled eggs.
They do. Yeah, it's kind of a mind warp with that one. So in the meanwhile, while one of us is stirring those curds, getting them shrunken down, the other one is just going to take out the things that we need, and that is pepperoni and mozzarella.
This mozzarella was homemade. We made it just a few days earlier, and it turned out really good. We usually have trouble making mozzarella, but this batch turned out perfect, which was really good. We were really excited to use it for this recipe.
We're just going to set aside some of that homemade sauce that we had cooking up. It's nice and thick. We've got our mozzarella, and now we've got our pepperoni. We're just going to pop it in the oven just to give it a little bit of crispiness and cook it down a little bit. We ended up making all of it because we felt like we needed all of it.
Well, and we wanted to snack too, because you got to snack on that pepperoni after you smell it and after you see it crispening up. You just got to have a few bites. So we just put all of it on the oven, put it in, I think at 400 degrees.
For like a couple minutes.
Just a couple minutes while we were stirring the cheese.
And then at that point, it really only took a few minutes. We just take it out. We wanted to set aside just like probably 8 to 10 pepperoni slices, and that's going to be for the bottom and the top of our cheese because we want it to look like a pizza slice or a pizza pie. So we set aside some of our flatter pieces of pepperoni so that we can use that for the top of our pizza.
The rest of them we decided to
Snack
on. You can see here that we decided to snack on them because when you see the pizza sauce and you see the pepperoni slices, you just have to have a couple of bites, and that's why we made extra because it had to happen. At this point, those curds, they've come down quite a bit.
They're looking dry.
They're looking really, really dry at this point, and they're getting close. They're getting really close, and so we got a big, strong man to help us. We had Chris help us pour out that whey, and we held back the curds, make sure they stayed in the pot while Chris poured out the whey from that to go to the pigs or the chickens or whoever will have that whey.
At this point, the curd is kind of a solid mass. We want to keep them warm, so we put them in the oven, keep them warm for a little while, and we will cut up these pepperoni pieces, which we will use later. You guys will see, but for now, we are going to start the cheddaring process, which is really interesting. This is what makes cheddar cheese cheddar, and that is taking that curd mass that's been pretty warm, and we are going to cut them up into 3 slices, as you can see here, 3 pizza slices, so to speak.
And these pieces of curds are going to be stacked upon one another, and they're going to sit in the pot, and every 15 minutes we're going to take each of those slabs and rearrange them and flip them every 15 minutes, and
that for 2 hours.
For 2 hours, yeah. We do that for the next 2 hours, and that is the cheddaring process. I don't know why, I don't know how.
That's you can see that those cheddar pieces, like, they're really big starting out, and over time, like, they shrink.
They shrink down, they condense. We're going to pour out some of that whey along the way. But you look at these, like they kind of stick to each other, they condense, they really, really come into each other, and they become something completely different from what they start out with.
It kind of resembles like raw chicken after a while. Like, look at that. It feels like
it's huge too. It kind of like expanded. Yeah, they did. And so it's just really interesting to see how that happens over those 2 hours.
Now comes like the really fun part. Well, first comes a little bit of work, of course, and that is breaking up those curd masses into individual pieces.
You could do this with a knife. We've done it before in the past, but it's also kind of fun to just tear it apart like this, and we could just get it done pretty quickly. I guess it would be a little faster with a knife to just cut it all up, but there's something kind of therapeutic about it. And this is the part where we added all of those little pepperoni pieces into those curds, and even just looking at this footage, it kind of looks like a pizza. It's making me hungry, and it just looks really
good.
Great. It looks so good.
And we're just going to continue keeping those curds warm, so we place that pot back into the oven, keep everything warm, mix everything around. We did mess up here. We did, because we were so busy melting down our mozzarella and trying to prep everything for this moment. We were supposed to salt those curds. So at that point, we needed to put a lot of salt into those curds, and we didn't do it.
We didn't do it, and you'll see later. We realized
we tried to fix it, yeah.
But for now, we are taking that mozzarella and we're stretching it in some boiling water, just getting it heated up. And you can see it stretches so nicely. Yeah. We don't normally get this result with mozzarella, so I'm so happy that we did. And so we lined our cheesecloth, and we're putting those little pepperoni slices down that we reserved from earlier, so we could get that like a pizza looking
face.
And so we're adding those curds,
and we're just going to keep layering. And this is where it gets a little crazy. So we're layering. We've got our pepperoni. And we decide let's drizzle some mozzarella.
Put the mozzarella in there. We're getting crazy with it. So that mozzarella is being swirled into that cheddar, and gosh, it looks so beautiful. It looks so beautiful going into it. I'm so happy with the way that it turned out. So there goes the mozzarella, and then I think at this point we decided to dab some of that sauce in there. So that pizza sauce from earlier, we're just taking some of that and throwing it into the curds.
And that pizza sauce has a lot of herbs in it, like oregano, garlic powder. Like, it tastes like pizza.
But it is around this point that we found out that we forgot to salt.
Yes.
We forgot to salt at this point, and then that's when we found out.
And we got scared because we're like, gosh, what are we going to do? And so at this moment, we decided we were going to put the pizza cheese into a brine. And you guys will see later how that turns out.
So we just kept going.
We kept going because there was no way we were going to deconstruct at this point.
We didn't salt the curds. We have to. Or brine it, but brine it. Yep.
So we made an executive decision at this point. Like, we're not going to deconstruct anything. We're just going to brine it at some point. So we finished putting it all back together, and we're
going to finish it out. Yeah, we're going to finish it out with those pepperoni slices on the top so we can make it look like
nice and pretty.
Nice and pretty, look like a pizza. It doesn't matter if it's undersalted because it's probably going to be fine after we brine it.
And so because we want to keep these curds really warm, with cheddar, you just want warm curds. They'll knit together better that way. We put our little mold into a pot, and then we put that box inside of another box. But no, we put on like
an Instant Pot with water, about 1 gallon of water. That's 8 pounds, and then we put our books on top of it, which is another however many pounds. And
just for the first like 30 minutes, just to get everything nice and settled. And then at that point, we put everything in the cheese press. That's worked so far for us really well. It's just getting that first initial press while it's warm in the oven, with whatever we can do.
And the next day, the cheese looked beautiful, brilliant.
Yeah.
So we threw it in the brine. You could see it here. We put some like extra salt on top of it. We're just praying for a miracle at this point. But it's
about like probably an hour later, we noticed
I think it was
things
more
were
like
separating.
3 hours later, but things were separating, and we just decided to pull it out of the brine and backpack it.
And that is it. So follow or subscribe if you want to see the results.